potatoes a little early. Trick with the potatoes is if you'll cut them early, you can put them in water and they won't turn brown. We seasoned them with oil, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and oregano. It was a half teaspoon each, except for the salt, which was a full teaspoon. Now, for the mushroom mixture that we made, it was 2 cups of mushrooms, half a cup of onions, 1 tablespoon of garlic, and then salt and pepper to taste. We have put a little bit of oil in our pan to heat up to get all of the moisture out of the mushrooms and the onions. The more moisture that's in there, the more mushy the puff pastry will be once we wrap it. So we want this to cook out as much as possible. We're going to turn that to a medium-high heat. We'll spread it out and let that slowly let the water come out. All right, now we will go ahead and start the red wine reduction. We're going to take a cup of red wine. Doesn't have to be anything expensive or anything like that. Just a regular red cooking wine. Then we'll turn that to high heat until it comes to a simmer. And then we are going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. And don't forget to keep your mushrooms stirred because you don't want to burn them. We just want that moisture to come out, and then we'll let them cool. And you'll notice when the mushrooms have lost enough water, it'll really thicken up into a paste. All right, as soon as that comes up, we'll be ready for that. Now, while we're waiting, we'll check on our potatoes, which are doing very nice. All right, now we'll go ahead and grab our filet from the refrigerator. We'll go ahead and get it seasoned up. Now this, just keep it simple. No need to get too fancy with it. The filet will speak for itself. Well, salt. On all sides. And pepper as well. Now we're going to go ahead and turn on our cast iron pan. It doesn't have to be a cast iron pan, just any pan will work. I prefer a cast iron. And we'll wait for this to get really hot. Keep our mushroom mixture stirred. Smells really good. Doesn't help that my camera lady's starving either. I'm pretty sure she's drooling over there. All right. All right, while we're waiting, go ahead and get the marinade started for our asparagus. All right. Now, if you're just cooking for one person, you don't need the whole bundle, but I like asparagus, so we're going to go ahead and cook. Find out where to cut it at. You're going to grab it each end and break it. This part's the part that's not really edible. So we're going to Average it about out and cut it down. All right, and this, see how it's starting to picking up, not be running. You don't see as many air bubbles from water coming up. That means you're almost there. And remember, don't be in a hurry. Keep your heat on low and just let it go. All right, now you can do these in bowls and have more dishes to wash afterwards. I'm definitely not fond of washing dishes, so I prefer to use bags. They make great marinades anyway. Allows for the oil and everything to get everywhere nice. Now for the marinade, we use salt, pepper, and this is more of a how much do you like? It's not has to be exactly a half a teaspoon or a half a teaspoon of pepper. It's what your preference is. And that's where you really get to explore how much you like your food. All right, and then we're gonna add some garlic. All right, back to the mushrooms. Those are about ready to go. So we're gonna turn our heat off on that. Remove that from the eye. And I see some steam coming off of our red wine, so it's time to add in the sugar. There we go. And now we're going to give that a stir. Turn that down to a medium heat. And let that slow reduce for probably about 5 to 6 minutes. All right, now for our garlic, our marinade. Again, this is a preference on if you like more garlic or if you don't. We already have our oil in there. And then last, just a little bit of paprika for a little bit of smokiness. Uh-oh, I think I hear the guinea pig squeaking. Sounds like he's hungry too. All right, and then we're gonna seal that bag up there. Make sure that gets all worked around. Looks like we might need to add a little bit more. After that gets all nicely coated and mixed together well, we are going to squeeze the air out. Wrap it up, and then into the fridge. You know, the longer the better. If you want to marinate it overnight, it'll give you a really good marinade on it, or at least 10 minutes. All right, now we are going to completely cool our mushroom mixture. And for that, just take a plate, spread it out. And then into the refrigerator. Now, back to our beef Wellington. Pan is starting to get really, really hot. So we're going to do just a little bit of oil. And that's the sound we want to hear. Now, when you're doing your steak, you're not cooking it, you're just searing it right now. So you're going to give it about 30 seconds each side until you start to see some really nice color on it. It helps having a farm sink to put all your dishes in, just so you know. Ooh, sounds good. Oh, there we go. And then you're going to repeat that process on all of the sides, including the rounded sides as well, not just the two flat sides. All right, now we're going to check on our potatoes. They've been in for 10 minutes. So we're going to take these out and give them a little stir. One way you can increase your cook time on these is by blanching them ahead of time. And if you have any that are stuck, just give them a little push and they'll come in. Now, these are getting pretty close, actually. All right, so now we're going to give our steak some more attention. I'm going to move it to another side. Make sure to stir your reduction. You don't want the sugar in there to burn. All right. And we have a puff pastry that has been sitting out and coming to room temperature, because you don't want to do it directly from the refrigerator. Makes it a little hard to stretch and maneuver properly. One more side. You really see the browning and the coloring there. Locks in all that juice and flavor. All right, now that that's all done, I want to try this. I'll go ahead and turn off our cast iron. And set our steak over to rest. All right, sorry, had to get a clean pan for the asparagus once it gets ready. While that is resting, we're going to go ahead and get our puff pastry and prep our area to roll our puff pastry. I pre-cut quite a few of these. I was practicing. So, pull off one. And that is about big of a square as you're going to want. You don't want too much dough underneath the sides, because then you'll get an uneven cook on it when you do put it in the oven. All right. We're going to go ahead and get out our chilled mushroom mixture. Now this one I did about 2 or 3 hours ago, so it would cool all the way, because it needs to be completely cooled to where it's almost like a paste. See, just like that. Now, we'll take our mushroom mixture and spread it across the puff pastry. And you will have some left over. This was enough to do actually probably 3 or 4. Alrighty, and now we are ready for the steak. We'll set it right in the middle. And then we'll fold it upwards. Make sure you're getting it as tight as possible without ripping it. Don't want to rip it. And then fold it under. Making sure all the edges crimped nicely underneath the bottom. And now we'll take some plastic wrap. Make sure it stays nice and tight. And we'll sit this in the refrigerator and let this chill just for a little while. All right. All right, we're almost at a point where we are ready. Check our potatoes. Those are coming along nice. And you just want to make sure you keep stirring them so you don't get any burns on one side. And the foil is always nice for an easy clean. And then back into the oven. You don't like dishes? No, because I do not like dishes. I love steak. Many times. Yeah. One of the reasons I do like my cast iron is because I can put it in the oven ahead of time to help it heat up, so it'll actually help cook the Wellington faster from the bottom as well. But they serve as multi-purpose quite often. Alrighty, our red wine reduction seems to be coming along quite nicely. I'll just need a small cornstarch slurry to help thicken it up. You won't need a lot because it's not a lot of liquid. So you'll only use it towards the end, right when we go to take it. One more. Thought I had everything I needed. Not quite. So it's only about a tablespoon and a half. It's not a lot. And you're only going to put a little bit of liquid on it. This is where the science part of it comes in. You don't want to use hot water. Cold water only. Yeah. Just want to mix it just enough, not a lot of water. Where it's just enough to make the liquid. But you don't want it to be too much like a putty stick, because then it'll thicken a little too much. So we'll leave that there while our sauce reduces just a little bit more before we add that. Alrighty, now time to finish the Wellington. Now, when you put this into the oven, depending on how you like it cooked, you're going to want to start at about 8 minutes. And depending on what kind of oven you have. But a small one like this, 8 to 12 minutes, 15 at max if you want it well done. So what this is a little bit of egg wash. And it's not normal egg wash because I just used the egg yolks and not the whole egg. But now we're gonna paint the top of it. All right. Now this is something that we do. It's not a necessity to do it, but it does make it look a little better. You're just gonna score it across the top with the back side of your knife. You can get whatever kind of fancy design you would like on it, but I just keep it simple. But you don't want to cut through the dough. That's not what you're doing. You're not using the sharp side. All right, now you're ready to go into the oven. And my cast iron pan is already hot and ready to go. So there we have it. And we'll give that 8 minutes. And we should see some golden brown puff pastry. And now we will turn our attention back to our other side, our asparagus. All right. And always remember, bigger mess you make, bigger mess you have to clean up at the end of the night. So try to keep your messes small. We'll go ahead and put all these up. So we'll knock them over. We're done with these. And always remember, things are not always going to go perfect in your meals. That doesn't mean that you did it wrong or you just didn't know a certain technique or you let something cook a little too long. Doesn't mean you messed up, just means you learned a new way to not do something. All right, our asparagus should have been in for right at about 14 minutes, so that's good. So go ahead and turn on the pan. And this time we won't need any oil in it because the asparagus is already in its own marinade. All right, and there is our marinated asparagus. We'll wait for that pan to get a little warmer before we dump that in there. Sauce is reducing nicely. And it sounds like my cat just woke up. A little bit of a new oven. I was trying to figure out why my convection fan wasn't turning on. And kept arguing with me. All right, so we want to get all that goodness out of there, all that garlic, oil. And you can roast this in the oven if you want to. If you're not, don't feel like wasting taking the time to actually cook it on a pan on top. But you're just going to keep this over a kind of a medium-high heat. The pan over it, and that'll help speed it up a little bit. Now, the only thing we are going to have for this is just a little bit of water when this starts getting hot to help steam it at the very end so it doesn't burn. So here's the measuring cup for a little bit of water. See, it's looking pretty good in there. Turn this down. All right, as our asparagus is cooking, the reduction is almost there. And it looks like we've got about 6 more minutes, and then we will be ready to plate and serve, which of course is everybody's favorite part. And that's kind of what you want to hear. You don't want, fizzling out of control, grease splattering everywhere. Just a nice, steady, even heat on it. And your asparagus will come out perfect every time. All right. Just cleaning up a little bit here. Add a little bit of water. And we'll Cover that back up and it'll start steaming up nicely there. Come back through our reduction and we'll go ahead and add just a little bit of cornstarch. Stir that in and it'll start to slowly thicken up as it heats up. There we go. All right, now time for the whisk. Try to retrieve it, tilt your pan a little bit to the side. Just stir it up. You can see it thickening up. And that, then we will turn off the heat. Let that, now the sauce is all done. Asparagus is almost there. Good way to tell. It's got some bend in it. That's about what you're looking for. But some of them not quite as much. So you want to let those keep going for another few minutes. And the object is to try to get everything to come out at about the same time. That way all of your food is nice and hot and prepared at the same time. All right. The lovely camera lady is zooming in on all the good stuff since I have a bit of dead time here. I almost made one in advance, but I wanted y'all to see the whole process. And that won't happen. You will run into times when you have a little bit of dead time while you're waiting on the stuff to finish cooking. Asparagus, another check. That is about what you're looking for. Still be somewhat firm, but not drooping over. All right, so now we're going to move our asparagus off the eye, turn off our eye. clean up and do it there.
Camera lady taught you well.
Yes, she did. She made sure we always cleaned up. Plate over. Our potatoes are about done. Give those a check. Oh yeah. Now, Wellington, if you'd like to come around and have a look at it, it's starting to brown up and crisp up on top. It'll be browning up a little bit more. It's got about 5 more minutes. But unfortunately, we have now hit some dead time because everything is now prepared and ready, and now we're just waiting on it. So we will just have to wait a second, I guess. They make this look a lot easier on TV. Oh, there's one other thing I did want to add while I have a chance. The Stonehouse will be running a special next week of the beef Wellington with asparagus, potatoes, and the red wine sauce. If this seems to be a bit too much trouble to go through for a meal, you can always come down and we will gladly make it for you next week. Also, we're having a steak night on Saturday this week, so come on down and enjoy a sirloin made by our.
Who's that?
Oh, do what?
Somebody's got the mic.
Oh, okay. Well, looks like our potatoes are now done. And just in that short amount of time, I'd like you to step around and take a look at the beef Wellington. This is how quick it'll start to brown up on you.
Quick.
It only takes a couple minutes for it to get away from you. So that is almost done. We're going to leave that in for about 45 more seconds. As a matter of fact, we can probably go ahead and turn the oven off, and the heat that's in there will finish cooking it the rest of the way. Now we will go ahead, add a little bit of water. Do you ever find your sauce is thickened up too much? A little bit of water, and it will bring it right back to you. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and take that out of the oven. We'll get another spatula and move it and let it rest while we plate up the rest of our lovely meal.
How long did you cook the beef Wellington in the oven, and what was the temperature?
The beef Wellington, I cooked it in the oven at 375 for right around 10 minutes. And that should give me a medium rare. We're going to get our potatoes. I think my camera lady's hungry. Go Go ahead and put some asparagus on there. All right. So now we're going to clear us a spot so we can cut the Wellington. All right. Now, a moment of truth. If I have my timing right, this should be medium rare. And that is what we have. It's a little on the rarer side, but kind of prefer mine that way. And now, last but not least,
So if they wanted it a little more done,
they would hold it in for about every 2 minutes. You're going to go up in temperature. So if you wanted it more well done, you add
2 minutes.
2 minutes per temperature at
Okay.
375 in your oven. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my version of a beef Wellington.
And the sauce was,
And the sauce was a red wine reduction sauce, and herb roasted potatoes and marinated asparagus. I hope y'all enjoyed my class, even though the technical difficulties at the beginning made it a little interesting.
was camera woman error.
I told her to use her phone, but she insisted on mine. Well, that is all I have for y'all tonight. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. And thank you.